If you are anything like me, you need recipes that are quick and easy to get on the table, that don't require a lot of prep work or mental capacity. So sheet pan meals are the way to go. I will show you how I made this, this, and this. So welcome to my kitchen. So first off, for this sheet pan meal, I'm going to make the Parmesan coating for our chicken. So for this recipe, I'm going to double the coating because I have more chicken. So I just added 2/3 cup of Parmesan. I'll do the same amount of the breadcrumbs. And these breadcrumbs have Italian seasoning in them, so I think they're gonna be good. So I don't have to add any seasonings of my own. Then I will add 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm just eyeballing it here. And salt and pepper. You always want to make sure that you season your food really, really well. Now I'll give this a mix. And I'll have this off to the side. Once we get our chicken prepared, we will coat it in this. Now I think if I would have used finely grated Parmesan, it probably would work better instead of the shredded, but I'm gonna make this work. Okay, so I'll set that off to the side. And for the chicken, I'm going to pound them flat. That way they get nice and crispy. So I'll just do 1 chicken breast at a time here. Make sure to get all of the air out of the Ziploc bag. And I'm going to use my rolling pin to hammer this flat. So this will help the chicken get nice and crispy. It will help it cook quicker, and it'll just be extra yummy. I personally don't like biting into really thick pieces of chicken. So this is gonna be really good. Okay, let's take a look. Yep, that's what we're looking for, nice and thin. So I'll go ahead and put this in our bowl and get it coated in the topping. And there we go. That looks pretty good. I'll set this on my baking sheet and I'll do the rest of the chicken. Okay, I went ahead and put the chicken in the oven. I'm going to cook the veggies separately just because the chicken took up so much space. So I'm going to get the potatoes chopped up. I think I'm going to do cubes for the potatoes here. And then we're also going to roast some carrots along with these. Some maple carrots, which will bring some sweetness. It's going to be so good. I'm excited about this one. Now for our potatoes, I'm going to drizzle in some olive oil. And then let me think about it for seasonings here. Let's see. I'm thinking, so our chicken has an Italian flavor. It's got Italian herbs and garlic. So we could go that route. We could do our buttery steakhouse. That one's always good. I also have this blend. It's salt, pepper, and garlic. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with this because our carrots are going to be sweet. I think that the garlic will be good. We'll just give that a good mix and we'll toss it on our baking tray right here. We'll spread it out so that they can get nice and crispy. Now moving on to our carrots. I went ahead and peeled these, so I'll just trim off the ends. And then I'm going to cut these into French fry shapes. So just like that. Okay, for our carrots, we will drizzle them with olive oil and some maple syrup. Make sure to use the real stuff, none of that fake syrup around here. Okay, and then let's skip the pepper, but we'll do a little bit of salt. The salt will help bring out the sweetness. And we will give these a mix, and then we will add this to the oven with our chicken. So even though we're cooking these on separate pans, they're still gonna cook at the same time. Okay, I'll see you back in a minute. Just look how juicy and crispy this chicken is. I can't wait for you to try this meal, you guys. I've made this chicken a few times since this day. It's that good. So now moving on to our maple Dijon salmon. I just gave my salmon a good rinse, and now I'm taking the skin off by running my knife along the underside of the salmon, keeping the pressure on the back side of my knife so that it don't accidentally cut through the skin. I had to switch to a longer knife to make it all the way through, and I find that holding onto the skin really tight helps remove the skin really nicely. So now I will cut this into individual sized portions before moving on to our marinade. So for our marinade, we have Dijon mustard and a little bit of maple syrup, garlic, lemon juice, thyme, and a little bit of paprika. This marinade turned out really well. Everyone in my house absolutely loved it. So then I'm adding some salt and pepper just to make sure that it's seasoned really well. And that's it for the marinade. So now moving on to the veggies, I decided to use little potatoes for this one, so I just cut them in half here. If they were too large, then I cut them into quarters. And while I was at it, I trimmed up my green beans. So I lined those up and cut both ends off before adding them back to my bowl so that I can season them. For the seasoning here, I kept it pretty simple and just used a store-bought pre-made seasoning. So I drizzled in some olive oil, and I'm using the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse seasoning. If you haven't used this seasoning yet, I highly recommend it. It's something that we love around here. We add it on pretty much everything. So for the green beans, same thing. Olive oil, Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse, and giving that a toss. I like to line my sheet pans with parchment paper. It makes cleanup a whole lot easier, but it also makes things a little bit crispier. So I just put the potatoes on one side and the green beans on the other, leaving space in the center for our salmon. So when I'm purchasing salmon, I always make sure that it is wild caught salmon, none of that farm raised stuff around here. So seasoning once again with salt and pepper before pouring on the marinade. After I poured it on, I used a little pastry brush to spread it around, and I popped this in the oven. Super simple meal, guys. This one turned out so good. Can't wait for you to try it. Next, we're moving on to sheet pan fajitas. So I started by slicing a red onion as thinly as I could, as well as 2 bell peppers. I used an orange and a yellow today. So just running my knife through here, slicing them as thin as I could, and adding those to the sheet pan. Once again, I lined it with parchment paper. And this is a flat iron steak. The flat irons are our favorite steak around here. If you haven't tried it, you really need to. You can see how thinly I sliced it right here. So I'm just slicing this and adding it to the other side of the sheet pan. And for seasoning on this today, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. Once again, drizzling on some olive oil and using a salt and pepper and garlic blend. That way we can control the spiciness with the hot sauce and everything that we add on the end. I serve this with some warm tortillas, lime, and sour cream. So moving on to our sheet pan blueberry pancakes. These turned out delicious. My kids really love these. So what I did was after I baked these, I cut them into individual portions and I froze them and stored them in the freezer in a Ziploc bag. That way they could just grab and go and heat them up as they wanted. this batter comes together just like a normal pancake. And for the mix-ins, you can do whatever you want. Some chocolate chips, strawberries, nuts. I used blueberries. And I lined my baking tray with tin foil here just for easy removal, and it worked out perfectly. So like I mentioned, once this was done and cooled, I cut this into individual portions, and I just popped this whole tray right into the freezer and froze it solid. And then I broke it apart into the pieces and stored it in a Ziploc bag. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope that you try some of these recipes, and I will see you next time.